Tribe. Hello tribe, welcome back to my Christmas calendar, and it's day 2. I wish I had a jingle. If I had one, it would be like, it's beginning to feel a lot like oh shit. And that's why I put together this Christmas calendar, because it's all about guarding your peace in a hectic season. And December leading up to Christmas and New Year's Eve is hectic, and it triggers all sorts of emotions in us. So I put together this calendar. Today is day 2 of my Christmas calendar. Family, we are talking about how to guard your peace in hectic seasons. Today we are diving in forgiveness. Forgiveness. What does that have to do with you guarding your peace? I will tell you. The thing is, why do you need to guard your peace? Because it's easily disrupted. It's easily disrupted by external circumstances, external situations. So why I want to talk about forgiveness is first and foremost about you. About you. Forgive yourself for whatever tension that you're carrying. Where does it sprung from? Where does it come from? It can be anything from small irritations or quarrels that you've had throughout the year, either at work, at school, with classmates, siblings, family, whatever. It just stores in your system and can easily get triggered in situations or in seasons such as this one, when we are stressed, when we feel like time just isn't enough. You wake up already late, you go to bed already late, your to-do list never gets done or finished. Then you can easily be triggered by underlying emotions, subconscious emotions. And that's why I want to speak about forgiveness. And you're probably wondering, forgiveness is probably a topic for the end of the year kind of vlog or live session, but that's why I'm bringing it up right now. Forgiveness is important, and I want you to start practicing it now, so you don't bring all of your Santa-like big bag of issues or baggage with you into the new year, into 2022. Family, we're heading to 2022. We're finishing the year of transformation. You don't want to take any waste with you into the new year. So why is forgiveness important? Forgiveness is an act of the soul. And forgiveness is actually empathy, showing empathy. Because I believe that by showing empathy with ourselves, first and foremost, it's much easier for you to actually show empathy on somebody else. In the Swedish language, we have a saying that goes something like, "Det är lätt att döma andra genom sig själv," meaning it's easy to judge others through oneself. So that can be the same thing with forgiveness. What wounds are you carrying? Because it can be all sorts of wounds, from being illy treated from a close one, or being always hacked on from a person of authority in your life. It can be a workplace, it can be a teacher, or it can also be as deep as emotional, physical abuse that you have experienced, but you've some way put it in a room and closed it. And when you actually get overwhelmed, you get stressed, that door can burst open. And I don't want that for you, sis. I really don't want that. And that's why I want us to speak about forgiveness. Start with yourself. If you have any wrongdoings from this past year that has been maybe even farther back, forgive yourself. You didn't know better. When you know better, you do better. If you fell out with a loved one and you are just bent hell on not apologizing, you know what? Do apologize. It doesn't mean that that person deserves that forgiveness, or it doesn't mean that what they did to you doesn't count. It's about you, because you can apologize and decide to move on from there. It doesn't mean you need to forget, but you need to forgive. It is for you, and it's an act of the soul. So you're probably thinking like, okay, Miriam, it's not that easy to forgive. You don't know what this individual did to me. You don't know how things have been, how tough things have been. And you're right. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what wounds you carry. And I don't know how people have ill-treated you. But I know one thing. Forgiveness will give you peace. Forgiveness will give you inner peace. And when you taste the sweet nectar of peace, believe me, you will understand why my mantra is guard your peace. And I want you to guard your peace in this season. And I don't want you to be guarding it based on blocking people out, based on hiding, based on just being made your mind up and being all stubborn and focus with a tunnel vision towards Christmas. No, I want you to guard your peace from a peaceful foundation, from a good place, from an inner peace kind of place. So that's what we're talking about it today. So why is it so easy to keep a grudge? We as mankind, we like to justify our behaviors. You know, sometimes you can just wake up pissed off. It can be something that happened in a dream that's connected to something that's happening in your real life. It can be that you just slept bad. It can be that before you went to bed, you actually watched a violent movie or experienced something unpleasant. And then that follows you into the next day. And this is the same thing with having a wound, having a quarrel, and you just want to hold on to it. And sometimes we can have the biggest grudge without even remembering ground zero, where that grudge comes from. Imagine that. Going around carrying something that's taken from you without even remembering, but it justifies why you are not in a good mood. So you want to hold on to that. Because holding a grudge is like a certificate for bitterness. It kind of backs up, yes, that person is bitter or that person is rude because X, Y, and Z. But why? For what? For who? It's not worth it. Family, we're talking about guarding your peace in hectic seasons, in seasons where things can get triggered in you. Humble yourself with yourself first, towards yourself first. And you know, when you don't practice forgiveness, that's what I want us to do, to start now, to start early, so you don't have to take it with you into the next year. The thing is, it takes time as well, but I just want us to start. There is something rejuvenating, there's something renewing about a beginning. To start thinking about, okay, what am I carrying that I don't need to take with me? To humble yourself enough to look at yourself, to start with yourself. Because remember, you can never take responsibility of how somebody else reacts, how somebody else behaves. You can only take responsibility for yourself. So, let me see. Let me give you 5 keys, and I've spoken about these keys earlier in a past Nabunya talk when I was talking about, yet again, forgiveness, because it's so important. It's so important for your development. It's so important for your growth. And most importantly, it's so important for your inner peace. Family, I don't know about you, but inner peace is just a catalyst. It's just a drive I have to share with you, to help you tap into it. Because like I said, the sweet nectar of inner peace is priceless. There is no price, there is no figure you can put on inner peace. You can see successful people. You can see billionaires have everything that money can buy, but they lack one thing, and that's inner peace. I'd rather be broke and have peace than rich and always be seeking for some inner calmness, inner nectar of peace. So, learning to practice forgiveness with yourself, then that will reflect back on your relationships, reflect back on how you communicate. And remember this, people gravitate to peaceful people. People gravitate to happy people. You know who's not happy? A person without inner peace. You know who can't enjoy a season, enjoyment, company with their loved ones? People without inner peace. So, we're talking about tools to help you guard your peace. If you don't have your peace, to regain your peace. And if you should be practicing forgiveness, but you're not, then this is for you. This is for you to regain your peace and waltz into Christmas and moonwalk into 2022 with a calmness, a solid, unshakable calmness. So, tools. Know what forgiveness is and why it matters. It matters because it's an act of the soul. It matters because it triggers empathy. And when you feel empathy, when you understand empathy, then it's much easier for you to also show it for others, show it to others, and also defend it on the behalf of others. So know and understand forgiveness, understand the importance of forgiveness, and also know that it starts first and foremost with you. That's tool number 1. Forgive yourself. Number 2, forgive yourself. And what do I mean with that? Because sometimes it's hard to understand, how do I forgive myself? I don't even know what to forgive. Story time. When COVID started back in 2020, my company, we lost overnight almost our whole income for the year. All of the plans, all of the contracts we had signed, we lost all of those due to force majeure. You business owners, leaders out there know what I mean. Something happened, which was COVID, that nobody could predict, which means then all ties to contracts are broken. And speaking to my accountant and my financial advisors, what they said that, okay, start collecting whoever owes you money, collect whatever you can to save your business, to pay your bills. And I did, except for one individual that was a very close friend of mine that I had helped out financially with their business 2 years prior COVID, and they were way overdue to pay back this financial aid that I had lent them. And when COVID came and we had the conversation yet again, this individual told me that every time they thought about me, they got anxious, they got anxiety, just thinking about how they owed me money. And remember, myself and my company, we were in a very fragile situation, like many companies were and still are. And I remember every time there was a bill that came that I couldn't pay, I couldn't stop thinking about this individual walking out there owing me money, posting pictures and stories of new stuff that they had where they could have paid down the loan they had to me. And I remember, and this is the punchline of this story time, I remember realizing, like, you know what, Miriam, you took a choice, you made a decision to help this individual. Of course, times were different, yes, but I still made a choice from a good place to lend out this money. Now, due to circumstances and how things had evolved themselves, I was in a fragile situation, and every time I couldn't pay something, I just thought about how this person was out there walking around spending my money. So I had to take a step back and understand, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I had to forgive myself for carrying this grudge over this individual, because the initial feeling, the initial foundation of me lending out this money was good. My intention was good, but due to circumstances, things had changed, and I almost started to resent my intentions. And that is the worst thing about carrying a grudge. You can change yourself slowly without even understanding that it's happening. And one day you wake up and you're a bitter person. When I caught up with that, I understood, like, you know what, Miriam, this is not life for you. This is no mentality for you. And this is no energy for you. So I kindly wrote this individual, told them to keep the money, told them to shake off that anxiety they had associated to my name, and wish them a good future. Ended that friendship, ended that relationship, but could at least move on with a calmful and peaceful heart, knowing that, you know what, I acted from a good place, and this situation had damaged the relationship, but first and foremost, it had damaged the trust. But the whole reason why I'm sharing this is that I was starting to change. I was developing a grudge. I understood that I had to forgive myself for how this whole situation was about to change me, was starting to change me. And then when I had forgiven myself, empathy blossomed out of me. Empathy towards this individual blossoms out of me. And I truly hope that that person is well. I truly hope that person enjoyed the fact of knowing that that was yet a loan off their list. So forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and it will be a game changer in the relationships where forgiveness is lacking. That's step number 2. Number 3, train yourself to forgive. Train yourself to forgive. You can start with just having a foul thought, or wishing for somebody else not to have the success they have. And you're probably thinking, I don't think that. It happens to the best of us. You can sit and just dream about something you want, and then you see somebody and you're thinking, like, how come that individual gets that all the time? How come that individual always experiences success? You know nothing about somebody else's success. Start practicing forgiveness. Train yourself to forgive. Something happens, try to look at the whole situation. It can be other examples where you can forgive, like in the grocery store when somebody cuts you off, or in traffic. Traffic. Oh my God. Even I, as a believer, a woman of God, sometimes in traffic, there is a ragey Miriam that gets out of me, and I don't know where she comes from, but luckily I've become better at cutting her off. Practice forgiveness. Somebody triggers you. Remember, you know what? I forgive you. Even if you hardly believe it yourself, by saying it, if you say it often enough, you will start to believe it. Practice forgiveness. You or my sisters, the ones that have kids in kindergarten, you know, some parents can steal either socks or whatever from other people's kids. You know what? If that happens to your kid, forgive them. Forgive them. Shopping this season, people are raging, and let's not even talk about Boxing Day sales after Christmas. Practice forgiveness. Don't take grudges or anger with you into the new year. Remember, we're talking about how to guard your peace in this season. And develop a forgiving mindset. Develop a forgiving mindset, and that's empathy. I spoke about empathy earlier. Empathy, by looking at a situation, by looking at somebody else from an empathic place, it will soften you and it will humble you. Remember, the whole reason we're talking about this is to guard your peace. And the last one, find purpose in your hurt. I spoke about wounds in the beginning of this live. Wounds that come from childhood, wounds that come from being mistreated, emotionally abused, physically abused from somebody, by somebody that you trusted. Being unrightful judged by somebody or an environment that meant something to you. Find purpose in your hurt. What can you learn from what happened to you? What can you learn from what you experienced? Before this year is finished, I will be hosting a whole talk about this. So, sis, that's what I had for you today. That was calendar day 2. My Christmas calendar, it's beginning to feel a lot like, oh shit. We are not going to go further with that jingle because we are guarding our peace. And in this season, we want to practice forgiveness because we are not taking no grudge. We are not taking no excess baggage with us into Christmas, into the holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, into the new year 2022, we are sliding in happy and at peace. I shared 4 tools here. So when it comes to practicing, when it comes to adapting forgiveness into your life and your lifestyle, is know what forgiveness is and why it matters. Why does forgiveness matter? Go back and see and watch how I explain that. 2, forgive yourself. It all starts with you. Whatever happens, whatever grudge, the whole foundation of it starts with you because you can only take responsibility for yourself and not for anybody else. Train yourself to forgive. Train yourself to forgive. Like I said myself, I can experience a little bit of road rage, don't judge me. But if you know you can get triggered in certain environments, start there. In the grocery shop, maybe even if you work in a grocery shop, imagine you work in a shop in this season. People go Christmas shopping, go even normal shopping and act like they are the most important individual under that roof. So if this is your day-to-day life, practice forgiveness. Start with them. Develop a forgiving mind through empathy. If you can just put yourself in the situation of the other individual, it will be much easier for you to be empathic of a situation. So, develop a forgiving mind through empathy. 5, find purpose in your hurt. What wounds are you carrying? What wounds have burst open from the room where you thought you had closed it and silenced it? When you know that, what can you learn? What can you pull out of that experience that can make you stronger, that can make you wiser for the next season? That's all I had for you today, family. Thank you very much. Like I said, Christmas calendar, it's beginning to feel a lot like, oh shit. I'll be back tomorrow, midday. 1 o'clock Central European time and 12 o'clock UK time. I wish you a lovely day. I wish you a lovely evening. And remember to guard your